actionable strategies for resilience. We want to inspire. We want to educate. We want to inform. We want to give hope. We want to let people know that women, and we will have men on this show pretty soon, but mostly so far it's been all women over the past 60 episodes that have shared their stories, and that's what I love to do. I know that's what part of what God has me to do on this planet while I am here, because you do realize that you have an assignment on your life. Do you know that? We all have assignment on our lives. Now, some people, we know what they are and can grab them, and they've been on that path probably all their lives. And then people like me have gone here and I've gone there. But the common thread that I can look back over my life is that empowering people, giving people a platform.
Hi, I'm Helen Blocker Adams, host of Reset to Reinvent podcast.
And I'm Vanessa, CEO of Talent Connect.
We have connected our talent as women entrepreneurs, and I am pleased to announce Talent Connect as a founding sponsor for our popular podcast.
For any of your staffing, payroll, or other business services needs, be sure to check out our website at talentconnectga.net. That's talentconnectga.net.
And don't forget to subscribe to our popular YouTube channel, Reset to Reinvent YouTube channel.
Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 60 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. I am your host, Helen Blocker Adams. Another milestone. You know, when you think about birthdays, when a person turns 50, they turn 40, they turn 30, it's like every 10 years, it's considered a milestone when you think about birthdays. And here we are on this day celebrating episode 60 of Reset to Reinvent podcast. 60 different brand new content information on this podcast. Now, certainly some of my podcasts have been solo, like this episode will be, and then I have others with guests. And I've had some phenomenal guests over the past a little over a year. We started in March of 2025. And here we are in the month of May, my birthday month, and celebrated my birthday on May the 1st. And it was a wonderful, wonderful day. You know, I'm thrilled to be at episode 60. I really am. And, you know, when I think about if you go back to episode 1 and just listen to what I talked about on episode 1, what I wanted Reset to Reinvent podcast to be about. When you think about my theme, and even my logo in terms of the circular, you know, there's life, you know, life goes in circle, and sometimes it connects and then sometimes it disconnects and then connects back up again. And Reset to Reinvent podcast. Let me just share with you the theme of Reset to Reinvent. As I set the stage for today's episode, Reset to Reinvent empowers women to rebuild and thrive after life's toughest challenges by providing inspiration, guidance, and actionable strategies for resilience. Actionable strategies for resilience. We want to inspire. We want to educate. We want to inform. We want to give hope. We want to let people know that women, and we will have men on this show pretty soon, but mostly so far it's been all women over the past 60 episodes that have shared their stories, and that's what I love to do. I know that's what part of what God has me to do on this planet while I am here, because you do realize that you have an assignment on your life. Do you know that? We all have assignment on our lives. Now, some people, we know what they are and can grab them, and they've been on that path probably all their lives. And then people like me have gone here and I've gone there. But the common thread that I can look back over my life is that empowering people, giving people a platform. I've done talk radio. I've done public affairs show, and I've written books. So everything, it seemed like, even when I ran for political office, it was about impacting the people and making a difference in people's lives, and being a voice for the people. And so this platform is no different. What it does give me the opportunity to do, because I can do it remotely, is to allow women from all walks of life to share their stories. And one thing about, once it's recorded, it's there to be used and re-listened to over and over and over again. And that's one of the powerful things I really love about podcasts, because once it's recorded, good, bad, or indifferent. Okay. And in this case, as I use this platform today as a memorial tribute for a woman that I had as a guest on this podcast. It was episode 54. Go back and listen to it. I'll be talking about certain excerpts from that episode. But this woman, she changed people's lives over the years, long before I got a chance to meet her. Okay. And she changed her life. Her life changed in so many different ways. And this woman, I'm giving a tribute to for this episode, episode 60, a milestone episode, is a woman named Demetria Blount. This woman was a guest on my podcast, episode 54. And she passed away suddenly in a fiery crash around 11:15 Wednesday night, on a Wednesday night, less than a week ago from recording this particular episode. She was a guest on Reset to Reinvent podcast, and she died just like that, 43 years young. And when you go back and you see that episode and listen to the episode and listen to all of the life and the spirit that she had in that episode, you would be as overwhelmed and in unbelief and disbelief as so many of us. It's like, oh my goodness, how could this happen? Granted, we all know we're going to die one day, but never has this happened to me, folks, where I've had a guest on my episode and they passed away. And to pass away as tragically as she did, it was a crash. 2 automobiles in the middle of the night. She was a sole passenger in her vehicle. I don't know all the details, but all I know is the day after it happened, my producer and super, super, super good friend saw something on Facebook. And then she was seeing different things that kind of connected. We had heard about the crash. It was all over the news. And it happened less than 10 miles. No. Less than 10 minutes from where I live. So in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh. And the initial story that we heard, that there was 3 fatalities. Okay. 1 in one car and 2 in the other car, and didn't know male, female, young, old, or whatever. But we just know that 3 people perished in a fiery crash. And where it happened was less than less than 10 minutes from where I live, probably 6 or 7 minutes. And so in my mind, I'm like, Lord Jesus, praying for the families, but Lord, don't let it be someone that I know. And then my producer told me the name of the person, the name of the woman that perished in that crash. And it was Demetria Blount. I mean, we were in disbelief. There's just no way. And oh my gosh. So I'm going to share with you and there's I'm going to share with you the I'm going to share with you I'm going to see if I can get through this because I wanted today's episode to be about her and her life and just share some things. Now, you definitely got to go back and listen to the whole interview. But what I want to do is in this episode is pay memorial tribute to Demetria. But I want to share with you some things that were going on in terms of us even getting that interview done. Now we know that there's an adversary in the devil, right? You know, they say the devil is what is it in Peter? I think it is. Let's see. I think it's in Peter where it talks about. Let's see if I can find it real quick. It talks about the devil is waiting to pounce. Yes, that's right. It says your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. 1 Peter 5:8. Now, let me tell you, that particular night that we had that interview scheduled, everything was going wrong, dealing with the sound, the getting the background in her background, getting that right, and the sound, and we kept hearing little sounds and glitches, and a couple of times when we got ready to start the interview, the whole thing blacked off, so she had to log back in because this was done remotely. She was at her home, I was at my home where I record. And it was like, and the thing about it is I had 2 interviews scheduled. So I usually schedule them with enough time for me to take a break, get my breath, change clothes, because it will be a different episode. And then I had to keep pushing the other lady back. Now, she didn't mind because Demetria and she even giggled and made a comment on that episode. She says, I'm a Marine. And Marines don't give up. And I don't give up either. I'm not a Marine, but both of us together, we press through that. And there's a message there that we've got to press through no matter what type of challenges that come our way. In that particular night, it was, and she shared with me that it was her first time ever being on a podcast. Her first time using this as a platform to share her story. Now, what's so neat about that is I've had a lot of guests to tell me that. And I love that. I love to be able to give someone who may be, not in the limelight, may not be a best-selling author, because everybody has a story, and she has a story. When I met Demetria at a night spot here in Augusta, Georgia, and they were doing poetry. It was poetry spoken word night, and we were celebrating my producer's birthday. We were going out. We were stepping out to go and have an adult beverage and eat some wings, which I told, Clifisms, they had great wings. And my friend, Brother Tribe, invited me out. I said, yeah, let's go hear some spoken word. Now, it was my producer. She's the one who knew Demetria. And they saw each other that evening before she actually got up and did spoken word, which we didn't know any of that. You see how God just all in the midst of this, right? So when we when when we got there, we're sitting there, and then I think she came in after we did, if I'm not mistaken. And their eyes caught, connected, and they were like, wait a minute, aren't you such such? And they, hugged, and then she introduced her to me. And just her spirit, her smile, her presence was just really, really cool. Now, at that particular time, let me tell you, I didn't know anything, at that particular time. All we knew was, hey, she got up and she did a spoken word, and it was Gladys Knight, Love Overboard. And she didn't sing it. She did the spoken word. She spoke the words in Love Overboard. And that was so, so good. So it was later on that night that my producer was telling me some things about her background and saying, Helen, she would be a great guest, because see, we were lining up our guests for the month of March, which is Women's History Month. So she was perfect. So when she sent her bio, and I read her bio and her story, and her bio was very brief. It wasn't a long detail, but it was enough for me to say, oh yeah, I've got. So we scheduled it, and her episode aired on the 23rd of March, Demetria Blount. And now that was my first time meeting her that night. And we spent 55 minutes. Well, really, it was longer than that, because we spent 45 minutes at least trying to get that episode going, with dealing with all the tech issues, okay? But we kept the right spirit. She had the right spirit. And we were both determined, no, we are not going to reschedule. We're going to do this tonight. So I kept texting my other guests saying, hey, I got to push it back another 15, 20 minutes, got to push it back. And she didn't mind at all. The other interviewer guest that I had that aired the following week, she didn't mind, because what I could have done was, let's say, flip the one that was ready and then get back. But I just felt like, no, we're going to work out these little kinks, and we worked them out. Now, if you listen to episode 54, you're still going to hear some little sound glitches, but you can hear the interview. And so when we think about First Peter and that devil and that adversary, want to devour everything that comes in their way. No, the devil wasn't going to win that night, and it didn't. He didn't. By no means, when we did that interview. And so I've got to share with you, okay, so now, so I'm on YouTube, okay? Some of you are watching on YouTube, and then I'm on every other platform as well. I mean, Spotify and Apple and iHeart, all of those, so you can listen or you can watch. Now, I'm going to share with you, from the time that I recorded this particular episode, 256 views of that episode on YouTube. Now, to put things in perspective now, this is episode 60, milestone episode, okay? This was episode 54. My previous episodes may have, in terms of YouTube views, maybe 10, 15, 25. I think 63 may have been one of the highest. So 256. That's as of, and it keeps, every time I go in there, there's more and more views and people making comments. And one thing that I'm getting a little ahead of myself. One thing that I kept seeing and reading, different people who were making comments about Demetria, is her light. And if you think about what a light is designed to shine, to bring awareness, to bring light, can bring healing. She was big on nature and being out in the elements of nature, in the sun and water. And she was very, if you go back to that episode 54, you'll hear her fascination with nature. Okay. And frankly, I've never really met anybody that just was that enthralled with nature and the way she ties it in with healing. And that was what her holistic healing business was all about before she tragically, unexpectedly passed away, perished in a tragic, fiery crash. It's just heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. And my condolences to her parents and her family and the people who knew her longer than 55 minutes and 27 seconds, which was the length of our interview. I only met this woman in person one time. How would you like to meet somebody one time and your life can change? Your life feel like it was impacted. Whether that was because there is, let me find, I took some notes here and let me find what God places people in our lives for a reason. We've heard that before. Could be for a season, and that season can be 90 days, it could be several years, it could be several months, it could be one day. And so for me, it wasn't even a day that I got a chance to meet and get to know Demetria Blount and the impact that she made on my life and how I feel like God orchestrated all of this. We know God is in control of everything, right? And if you listen to some of her prophetic messages and thoughts in episode 54, you're going to be like, oh my gosh. You just got to go back and listen to the full. And so your season can be one day or like me, a brief but incredibly impactful introduction on that night in a night spot. Listen to her do spoken word with a song, Love Overboard. It was about love. She oozed with love, the smile, love and light and God and Jesus. They all go together. And so many comments that I saw and read about Demetria Blount on Facebook, it was like she was light. She was a light. And I want the platform that I have with Reset to Reinvent podcast. And the reason I wanted to do this tribute for people, there's a lot of people that had never even met her before. And now they're getting to know her. She was on a mission. She was on an assignment. And that night, God gave her the opportunity to press through all of that issues that we had to share her message, to share her gift so that lives can be changed. So going back to a season, for me, the season was that brief encounter, okay? Well, we didn't go into details that night about her background and this and that. Now, my producer gave me bits and pieces, but when I got the bio, and then after hearing her spoken word and how she oozed with love and energy and passion, I'm like, yeah. And after I communicated with her, she told me she had never done that before. 55 minutes and 27 seconds of authentic, true to life, heart wrenching, yet hope filled and inspiring conversation. That's what I got on that night, on that day of that. It was night in the evening when we recorded that particular episode. She said that she wanted to be an authentic healer, shift the lives of people. And when you listen to that episode 54 of Reset to Reinvent podcast, she says, even when she was in some of her darkest days, You know how a lot of times when we go through stuff and it's like, why me, Lord? She didn't question God because she was like, well, you know what? Why not me? I'm not going to share in this episode all that she went through. What I want this episode to do as a tribute is what that episode did for me and how I've already seen through people's comments how she's impacted people's lives, how she has impacted people's lives and what she wanted to do. And she felt like if she didn't go through all of those multiple traumatic situations, how could she authentically heal people? How could she do that? Now me, for example, I didn't experience any of the things that she's experienced, but I am a breast cancer survivor. So I can talk about that authentically. I can talk to you and share with you and encourage you and give you hope to let you know that yes, you will with the treatment that I had, the 4 rounds of chemotherapy, the 20 rounds of radiation, lost all of my hair. Yes, it took a long time for all my hair to fully grow back and get thick, especially back in the back. So I can authentically talk about that. But some of the things that Demetria went through, oh my goodness, I could not because I've never experienced that. So she wanted to be an authentic healer. So when I think about that episode, and the name of that episode was Repeated Trauma from Death to Rebirth. Not my words. Those were her words. You remember the song Order My Steps by, was it the Mass, the Georgia Mass Choir Worship Women's Group, something like that. And order my steps, how order my steps in your words, dear Lord, lead me, guide me every day. Do you know that that's what Demetria was doing? She knew that God was ordering her steps. We talked about that. That 55 minutes and 27 seconds was life-changing. And what's so heartwarming for me is that more and more people are downloading that. Right now, we've got like 53 downloads of that particular episode. We've got going on 300 views. Well, it was 256 when I started this recording. Views on YouTube. I've never had that many views, but here's what warms my heart. And this is what Reset to Reinvent podcast is all about. It's what I'm all about. I want this platform to be a place where people can find hope, even in the midst of a fiery crash. Is this probably the most hurtful situation you've ever experienced? Probably is for a lot of us. A lot of us have had loss. But to have someone who is just a guest on my podcast is just unbelievable. She called herself a real live phoenix. Y'all have heard about the phoenix, how the phoenix bird, it rises. Is it a bird or an eagle? It's got big wings. I don't know what kind of bird it is, but maybe a phoenix is a bird. I don't know. But that's what she called herself, a real live phoenix. And then she goes on to say in this episode 54, where she said that she just got so obsessed with phoenix that she had tattoos on her arms, tattoos of a phoenix on her back, different places of her body. She adopted the phoenix. And then she said in this episode, she said she had to die to be reborn. She said she had to go through what she went through, all of those multiple traumas. And that's how she described the phoenix in her life. These are her words. And so many people who have made comments or I've seen on Facebook, the words that are like synonymous with Demetria Blount is light. God is light. Jesus is light. And she wanted to be an authentic healer. And then she goes on to say the phoenix went up in flames. This episode aired on March 23rd, over a month before she perished in flames unexpectedly, just like that. She said the phoenix went up in flames, turned into ash, and became reborn. And when you listen to episode 54 and some of the situation that was going on with her skin and the way her skin shed, and she talked about her skin shed like it was ashes. This episode was March the 23rd. It was like she was just prophesizing and fulfilling her assignment. And the other part of it is that I'm convinced. I'm a praying person. I'm a faith-based person. I'm day by day trying to build my relationship with God, and I hope that you are too, and I know many of you are too. And if you're not, after listening to episode 54 and listening to this episode 60, this milestone episode, I hope that you build that relationship with God, because nothing happens by happenstance. We may think it does, but God has ordered our steps. God knew what was going to happen. We didn't know. How could we foresee anything like that? I mean, who are we? Oh, speaking of that, I found a scripture that ties in with this. Oh my gosh. Okay, the scripture was, let's see. Yes. Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And then what about this one? Proverbs 20:24. A person's steps are directed by the Lord. How then can anyone understand their own way? It's almost like, yeah, we can plan all of these different things and say we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And God has his own plans, unbeknownst to us. He had a plan for Demetria. I'm just thankful that he allowed me to be a part of this plan so that her words can just stay in the atmosphere, in our hearts, and in our mindsets forever. Because episode 54, you can download it and listen to it. And if you think about it, for any of you, especially for the ladies, women, you know, we're a lot of us who are into personal development, personal growth. If you listen to that episode, that's like a master class. If you really listen and digest and take notes with so many things that Demetria had to say. Here's a summary of episode 54. Demetria Blount shares her transformative journey of authentic healing, emphasizing the importance of dying to be reborn to fulfill her true purpose. The conversation explores personal growth, spiritual awakening, and the power of staying true to one's mission. We were on a mission that night because we were determined we were not going to let those tech issues and the adversary keep us from doing that interview that night. And I just thank God because oh my gosh, the what she shared that night and she became my shero. I have several sheros. Harriet Tubman is one of my sheros. Demetria Blount is one of my sheros. But she was my shero before she passed away. That's what's so heartbreaking about this. Okay. So some takeaways from episode 54. And we're going to wrap this thing up in just a moment. The takeaways from this episode 54 was reflect on areas in your life where you need transformation, embrace challenges, and you will hear throughout the whole episode how she embraced her challenges, even the tech issues at night, okay? Oh my gosh. Embrace challenges as part of your rebirth process. Stay authentic to your purpose during difficult times. I want you to know the last pearls of wisdom that my friend Demetria Blount said when I asked her, I said, is there anything else that you want people to know that we haven't already shared in this episode? She says, as a man thinketh, she says, if you believe you could be successful, you can. She says, so be it. It shall be. I think we can all agree she was successful. She impacted a lot of lives long before she passed away. But oh boy, this platform here, I'm convinced that my introduction to Demetria through one of my closest, dearest friends on the planet was a part of God's plan, as a part of what God's plan was for Demetria. Because one of the things that she said that she wanted to do her work through her heart. She wanted to make a difference in people's lives. She wanted to make sure that, how does she say? She wanted to make sure that, that she would impact people's lives authentically. Okay. And one of the things that she said at the very end of that episode, guys, is that she said, when I asked her, I said, well, how can people get in contact with you? How can people get in contact with you and sign up for your programs, et cetera, et cetera? She said that she was reinventing herself. She was putting some things together so that people can be able to touch base with her. She said she didn't have certain programs in place yet, but she was really reinventing herself. But she says that go ahead and go to my Instagram, my Facebook page. She gave that information. And then she says, get in the queue so that once all of that was together, she would make sure that you would have it. So let episode 54 be what she has for you. She wasn't able to complete the process of reinventing new programs and so forth with her holistic healing company. But I pray that this episode and episode 54 can be the product, the service that can help you in any way that you might need help. Demetria, I have never listened to any episode that many times. And every time I listen, I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I can't even imagine what her family's going through. And I've never met her family. I don't know her family. I'm hoping I can meet them one day. I'm hoping that I can be able to go to her services when that comes. But Demetria was my shero, and I say it on episode 54, before she died in a fiery crash. She's a visionary. She was authentic. She was a believer. She was resilient. She was a fighter. She was courageous. And she was determined that she was going to be spirit-led to serve. And that's my challenge to you. That's my encouragement to you, is to be spirit-led to serve. Part of one of the reasons she talked about in episode 54 that she had gotten sick to a level that was debilitating is that she was putting so much in everybody else and wasn't dealing with self-care. And she talked about that. Go to episode 54 so that you can hear her thoughts on that, on self-care. And once she realized, okay, you know what, I've got to deal with me because the other stuff is just not worth it. She was authentic, spirit led to serve. So as we wrap up this milestone episode of episode 60 of Reset to Reinvent podcast, my tribute to Demetria Blount, my 55 minutes and 27 seconds of a conversation with you changed my life. And I hope that it will change a lot of other people's lives so that your mission, your authentic mission that God had you on will continue long after all of us are gone. So folks, I'm going to say so long for today. Have yourself a wonderful week. Have yourself a wonderful month of May. We do have some wonderful guests and some wonderful things coming up for the month of May. The month of May is Mental Health Month. So we will be talking about that particular subject. But we've just got some great guests lined up for the month of May. But I just felt like I had to do this for this first Monday in the month of May, this memorial tribute for my friend, Demetria Blount. Have yourself a blessed day. Why? Because you deserve to be inspired.
Today's episode of Reset to Reinvent podcast is brought to you by the Adams Group Agency, developing final expense leaders.